Ollie Campbell Park in South Dublin is the venue for this round 17 clash in Division 1B of the AIL. It is Old Belvedere, the hosts, taking on Garryowen from Limerick. As there's only 2 rounds left in the regular season, this is a monumental game as only 3 1B teams can qualify for the promotion to the 1A playoffs. Old Wesley, Garryowen, Highfield, Old Belvedere and Blackrock can all still qualify, but ultimately only 3 will. Old Belvedere are in 5th place. They have struggled in the second half of the season, winning 2 of their last 7 games, while Garryowen have won 5 out of their last 7, including that famous Munster Senior Cup win. Garryowen defeated Old Belvedere in round 2 this season in Limerick, and in fact, Old Belvedere have not beaten Garryowen in the AIL since December 2013. So it's all about a go down here in Ollie Campbell Park in treacherous conditions. And I'm delighted to say that with me today is journalist and commentator Kieran Noble. Kieran, good to have you here. Thoughts on this encounter?
Yeah, it's a really important game for both clubs, really. 1 point separating them on the table. Garryowen need a win, Old Belvedere need a win. It's the nitty-gritty part of the season. It's serious time now, squeaky bum time. For Old Belvedere, really, they've got home advantage here today, so that they don't 100% need a win, but they do need a win. So it's a huge game in the context of the league and the playoffs.
And do you think at all, Kieran, that perhaps Old Belvedere can be struggling a bit with confidence, considering that they had a really good start to the season, second half of the season only really won 2 out of 7 games. Garryowen have really come out of nowhere in the second half of the season, and they also racked up 55 points against Queens, and then were very impressive against Cork Con in the Munster Senior Cup final. Cork Con weren't light either, came away with the win, so they're looking to get back into 1A.
Yeah, Garryowen, I suppose, probably came into the league, coming down from 1A, maybe lacked that bit of confidence, but now they've got used to the league, they've built that confidence back up. For Old Belvedere, look, they haven't been at the level they were at last season. They've struggled in parts, but they've had big injuries to key players. Peter O'Byrne, Mick O'Kennedy's gone to America, so players have left at the key times. That hasn't really helped them, but they're still in the fight. They're still within a shot of the playoffs, so they won't be too disappointed.
So Garryowen making their way out onto the park on the left, and then Old Belvedere, the hosts, on the right. They captained today by Callum Darling. Old Belvedere coming off a last-minute loss against Blackrock and Stradbrook a week ago. Garryowen with that brilliant victory over Queens. Referee today in the centre is Andrew Fogarty, who was the assistant referee last night for the Bulls and Leinster. So no time off on a Saturday for him. He's been refereeing since 2017 and started refereeing in the AIL 3 years ago, and now is a regular in the URC. So it's been a great few years for Andrew Fogarty. And it will be David Wilkinson to get us underway.
This league is better than the URC. This is the real rugby of this weekend.
Well put. So here we go. Immediately for Garryowen as they take contact. And at the base is Jack Oliver, and he looks to clear. And now it's Paddy Dowling. It's met on halfway. Sol Fitzpatrick for Mulcair. He's been dangerous all season. Fabulous offload. Fitzpatrick and Callum Darling. 23 tries in 2 seasons for the hooker. Space on the left here for Old Belvedere, but Fitzpatrick goes on the right. And so far, good possession in these conditions. And the number 8 coming through is Donica Byrne, and then Fitzgerald as well. Fitzpatrick, Wilkinson, Fionn McWay. Really been industrious as ever. Wilkinson with the skip ball to Beckett. The powerhouse, as Kieran calls him. Fitzpatrick, McWay, Wilkinson with the kick pass. And anything can happen here. And it's Doyle. That is almost a great steal, but that's in from the side. Kieran, thoughts on that?
Old Belvedere will be pretty happy with that. They stayed patient on the ball, didn't rush anything, kind of played the conditions, kept it in nice and tight. Tom Mulcair's had a brilliant season. He's at that ruck, he's always looking for the gate to be open. He's always looking to stab through. He does it nearly every game, so teams obviously try and stop it, but it never works. And now they're going to the corner, and Callum Dowling loves these moments.
Certainly does. 8 tries this season, 15 last season. And Old Belvedere, they were on fire at line-out time against Blackrock, despite the result, 9 out of 9 from their own ball. And will they go for the banker ball to Fionn McWay? They don't. It's Paddy Darling this time. Mulcair is in there as well as Callum Darling at the back. Support from Fitzpatrick. Callum Darling looking to break away. Old Belvedere, they've scored 59 tries this season. They're looking for try number 60. McWay. Yes, Jacob Barrett. Still going. Sol Fitzpatrick, Cale Thatcher playing the number 5 jersey today. Fitzpatrick for Mulcair, and it's play on ya. Work for Jaden Beckett. And Garryowen have done well, but they are not out of the woods yet.
That was good defensive set though from Garryowen. They didn't look too phased, they didn't rush themselves. And similar for Old Belvedere, they tried their best but couldn't break Garryowen early, but they're still in a really good position in the red zone, so they can still score. Sol Fitzpatrick has done really well since he's come in for Peter. You know, making that step up to senior rugby, it's been really good. And he went to St. Jared's School and he seems to be taking a senior rugby. It's hard to replace a guy like Peter O'Byrne who's excellent. You know, he was probably the best player of the season for Old Belvedere up until he got injured. So, but he's done really well with Patrick.
It's a good shove from Belvedere, but it's illegally so. And Garryowen have a chance to relieve some pressure. Good result there.
That's exactly what Garryowen would have wanted. Now they've got a chance to clear their lines. Some former under-20s in their squad today, of course. Jack Oliver and George Haddon's in there as well.
2 players who played at the Under-20s World Cup last year. 2 promising talents. And it will be Dean Fanning to throw. In for Max Klein.
Ronan Fox is there as well, I believe, but he's injured at the moment. Obviously played a crucial role for Old Belvedere to get to the semi-finals last season.
We 11 out of 15 from their own lineout against Queens. And Fanning, and taken by Geronimo Ureta Sainz Pena, the Argentine. Donica Byrne crashing it up in centre field. Played for the Cobras in Super Rugby Americas in the 2022-2023 season. Langan searching as Quilligan off his wing. Scored 8 tries this season, along with Brian Fitzgerald, who's also scored 8. Jack Oliver has to wait patiently. Langan, that's a great piece of play from the number 10. Oliver under a bird of pressure, but he looks to clear the decks. Jack Oliver, and then Wilkinson, and White this time. Wilkinson. None of that ball is Colvin Langan. Well possessioned by the number 10. And what a great kick that is. Where is this one going? Just outside the 22. What a kick, though, by the number 10, Kieran.
Yeah, you were watching the linesman there to see what was going to happen, and he changed his hand. I think he was giving it to Garryowen there for a second, but it is a Belvedere lineup. But Garryowen doing really well under pressure early on. They look comfortable in their exits, which will be pleasing for their management.
Big U Flood giving the call to Callum Darling. Doyle. And then Fitzpatrick Thatcher. It's not the best pass in the world under pressure from Fitzgerald. Back to Wilkinson. Gets a lot of distance on that, but it's Quilligan. And here's Colin Hogan, the ex-Trinity and ex-Bolvo man, who also played for Tasman last season in New Zealand in the Bunnings MPC. And has got a contract with Munster. Langan and then Byrne for Fitzgerald, the outside centre and captain. Oliver working the short side. Thatcher with the hit. Fitzgerald at the base. Brian Fitzgerald. And then Kevin Seymour, the oldest player in the Garryowen starting lineup at 30. Can you believe that? Langan. And then Geronimo Oreta signs pen up. And then Langan, Warren McNulty, Fitzgerald, and then Wood, the 19-year-old. Belvedere under a bit of pressure. Donica Byrne, has he spilt that in the tackle? It's play on. Langan with the skip ball. And that was a good defensive set by Old Belvedere, Kieran.
Yeah, both teams are kind of doing the same sort of thing in attack. It's due to the weather. They're kind of going from side to side a bit. They're not really risking the passes. And it's kind of similar to the attack Belvedere had in Garryowen's half a couple of minutes ago.
And also one thing where Belvedere have struggled, Old Belvedere this season, Kieran, has been their penalty count. 17 penalties against Blackrock.
It's been frustrating for Ben, I'm sure, Ben Mannion, their head coach. It's probably a little bit to do with their age. They're still a really young team. A lot of them are only a season or 2 seasons into senior rugby, so they're still learning on the job effectively. That 20 system in Old Belvedere works so well, so lads are still adjusting to senior rugby.
Absolutely. Sol Fitzpatrick. Good scrum, Old Belvedere. Wilkinson. Looking for some ascendancy before clearing, and Quilligan. It's all the way back in. He's 22, Colin Quilligan. And what a kick that is from the right winger. He's the 4th generation Quilligan to win a Munster Senior Cup. That game 2 weeks ago against Corcon.
The linesman he's going for a Garryowen lineup, but I thought it was an Old Belvedere lineup, but he's got his hand out for a Garryowen one. But yeah, the kicks, they'll be really happy with that. Both kicks that Garryowen, or it is a Garryowen lineup, there must have been a touch in there. But the kicks from Garryowen have been really positive so far. They've got good meters out of it, and now they're in a really good position just on the outskirts of the 22.
Fanning to throw. And up goes Fitzgerald, and that's gone forward. Here's the Enniscorthy Express, James Doyle, the youngest player in the starting lineup today for Old Belvedere, James Doyle. Just 20 years of age. Fitzpatrick Wilkinson, a little dink over the top. Robles is giving chase. And then Brian Fitzgerald, the captain, has to come to the rescue. And a bit over-eager there by Old Belvedere.
Yeah, they tried their luck there a little bit. It didn't work out. Garryowen get the penalty. It's kind of it's tough for both sides today, you feel, with the weather. It's going to be maybe a low-scoring game. We don't get many low-scoring games here in Ollie Campbell Park, but you get the feeling early on that there is going to be a low-scoring game here today.
It's absolutely true, Kieran. If you look at the average score for Old Belvedere this season, they've scored 26 points, conceded 23. And then for Garryowen as well, with the average scoreline of 28, plays 21. So these teams do score points, but the conditions will pose a threat to that. Geronimo Ureta signs pen up with the take. The ex-Juarez 15 player, he's under pressure. Welcome to Ollie Campbell Park. Old Belvedere have a turnover.
That's a huge momentum shifter so early in the game. You know, sometimes that can get the crowd up, and that's really good. Fionn McWay, he's a menace in those sort of situations. James Doyle has been really good since he's come in this season as well from Lansdowne. He's been really good. I think he was on the outskirts of the Irish under-20s last season as well. So guys like that have really made an impact. And then you've obviously got Cale Thatcher, who's been a brilliant find in the last 2 seasons for Old Belvedere.
And two young starting lineups. Average age for Old Belvedere just 24, and then for Garryowen just 23. Garryowen only have one player in the starting lineup who's 30 in Kevin Seymour, the number 5, the vice captain. But that front row of George Haddon, Dean Fanning, Oisin Carney for Garryowen, 21, 21 and 23 respectively. Incredible. Good scrum once more from Old Belvedere. Wilkinson just trying to manage the game.
Yeah, well, he didn't have a lot of options there, Wilkinson, so he went for a touch, didn't get a lot on it. Garryowen will be happy enough with that.
Also, Kieran, what's very interesting is in the 7 losses for Old Belvedere, all of them have been by 7 or less, with the exception of the Garryowen game in round 2 where they lost by 8, and it just shows you what difference the season could have been if they got 2 or 3 of those wins there.
Yeah, I suppose as well, the Wesley game, they lost quite convincingly that day, but other than that, they've been thereabouts. It's just been the bounce of the ball in a lot of cases.
And it is a penalty. Jack Oliver just playing some mind games with you, Flood, there. Jack Oliver, their highest points scorer this season for Garryowen, and 96 points. And just 20 years of age, out of Castleroy.
They're going into the corner now. Garryowen have kind of settled into this game nicely. Belvo came out as the home side, were quick to get out of the traps, but now Garryowen seem fairly settled in and they seem pretty confident on the ball.
Also, Garryowen in the last 6 occasions between these sides in the AIL, they've won all 6. Old Belvedere have to go all the way back to 2013 in the AIL for their victory. Byrne has it at the back. Donica Byrne, 6 tries this season, joined by Fanning and Oliver. Wants it. And then Wood, the inside centre, tackled by Thatcher. Oliver for Des Fitzgerald, the younger brother of Brian Fitzgerald, the outside centre. Oliver. And here's Seymour, the veteran. Oliver. And then Colin Hogan. Jack Oliver. And here's Oisin Carney. And Mulcair just got that one wrong there, Kieran.
It'll be interesting to see if Garryowen go for the 3 points or will they go to the corner again. It's mad to see Gordon Wood playing 12. When I started watching rugby when I was about 4 or 5, his dad Keith was the captain, so to see his son playing senior rugby now is a bit mad. It's a full circle moment.
So it will be Colvin Langan to have a shot at goal. 29 points this season in the AIL, including 1 try against Buccaneers in round 8. And he was 7 from 9 from the boot against Queens, scoring 15 points. A Galway native, age 21. And he is some prospect. And he has the chance here for Garryowen to put them in front at Ollie Campbell Park. Colvin Langan. Exceptional kick from the number 10. It's Old Belvedere 3, Garryowen 0 after about 13 or 14 minutes here at Ollie Campbell Park.
They probably deserve those 3 points, Garryowen. They've had probably the lion's share of possession, I'd say. Look, it's a tight game. We talked about the weather already, so those penalties could really matter at the end. You know, it could be one of those 3, 6, 9, 12 kind of games with the weather.
Wilkinson. Taken by Green. And number 7. Fitzgerald goes in for support, and Oliver managing that ruck to good effect. And Joe White is under that ball. It's messy. And now Jaden Beckett, the outside centre. always seems to make an extra yard or two. You Flood, tackled by Seymour. Penalty to Old Belvedere. Fitzpatrick wants that, but you'll have to wait.
Yeah, they get a penalty. It looked like it was a bit of dark arts there. He looked like he was being held in for every inch, every second. So Old Belvedere get the rub of the green there, and they have a chance to go to the corner.
And this weekend, Wesley, Garryowen, Highfield, Belvedere, Blackrock all still in line to qualify for 1A. But only 3 of those sides can get into the playoffs in 2 weeks' time, and all those sides today have crucial games. So it's a lot of congestion in 1B at the moment, as it always is. So Darling to Doyle, Fitzpatrick, Thatcher. Good tackle by Green and Byrne. Here's Fionn McWay. Fitzpatrick to Darling. He's still going Callum Darling, but that's gone forward.
A bit of basketball there, a bit of juggling. Didn't go to plan. And I was looking at the scores there when you were talking about the games. Queens are 26-12 up against Naas, so that could be massive in terms of relegation. That could drag Naas right into it. And for Queens, that would be a huge result.
Yeah, the beauty of promotion and relegation amongst the leagues, there's always something to play for.
Yeah, no, I think nearly every team in the league at this moment, maybe except for 2B, like there's so much to play for. I think the teams in 2B that are in the playoffs have kind of been set for a while now. But in other leagues, like there's so much that can happen in these last 2 weeks. It's the exciting time of the season, but I always think the AIL is exciting anyway, whether it's round 1, round 5 or round 16.
Absolutely. Also a new coaching ticket. Well, if you go to the start of the season with Garryowen, Damien O'Donoghue in there with Mark Butler, there's Byrne, Neil Cronin, Neil Lucy and John Staunton. And for Belvedere, their coaching staff have been in charge for the past 2 seasons.
Garryowen did have Tony Butler as well up until last season. He moved to Young Munster, I'm guessing to get 1A rugby.
Jack Oliver worth the put in. Solid shove from Garryowen, and they've got the penalty as well. That's impressive from George Haddon, Dean Fanning and Oisin Carney.
I'm a big fan of George. He's actually from Gorey, so close enough to where I live in Wicklow. He went through the Southeast system there. He came through the club system. Then he went on to play for Clontarf and obviously for the Irish under-20s. He's a serious player. Now he's in Munster trying to make it there, and he just showed his power in that scrum there.
So far it's been a real physical contest, Archer. Just 3 points separating the sides. And Garryowen, they've really been in a rich vein in form if you take out their performance against Old Wesley at the beginning of March. Fanning, taken by Geronimo Ureta Science Pena. And then Byrne for Oliver, Wood, Langan, and then the skip pass from McNulty to Colin Quilligan. You got to watch out for this feather. It's a good kick and chase and a positive result for Garryowen.
That was really good from Garryowen. It was the first time probably in the game that we saw any real cohesive backline play where they really went for it. They could see that there was a bit of space out wide. He went for the kick, and look, Garryowen have the ball now, like in a really good position, so they'll be really happy with that. And at the minute, they just look like the team in control. They look more comfortable than Old Belvedere do.
So, can Garryowen produce something? Yeah. Fanning, Geronimo Ureta Science Pena, and Old Belvedere with some illegal tactics, so it will be a Garryowen penalty.
Yeah, Belvedere dragged that straight down. It's usually Old Belvedere who love the mauls and love the tries, but that time they obviously didn't fancy it, so they dragged it down straight away. But it's easy for Garryowen, they can just nod it back into the corner.
Langan knocks it into touch. Perfect opportunity for Garryowen and the visitors to make it a 2-score ball game. And they might start to feel really comfortable if they can get a score, just on the stroke of 20 minutes. Fanning to throw. Up goes Geronimo. Ureta signs Pena. Bit of a juggle, but he's done well in the end. And New Flood making a nuisance of himself. He's done a brilliant job there. The powerful tight head prop. That is exceptional. How did he do that?
Great work from Floody there. He was aware. He knew exactly where that ball was. He fought for it till the death. And now Old Belvedere have a really good chance to exit here.
Fitzpatrick Wilkinson under pressure. He just manages to clear the decks, but Garryowen's still in a good position here, Kieran.
I suppose it's all he could do in that situation. He got it into touch, which is the most important thing.
So you can just see Haddon getting the call from Seymour, the veteran, the 30-year-old, passing the call on to hooker Fanning. And what a poach that is from Paddy Darling. Mulcair. So the lineouts haven't been firing completely for Garryowen this season. 11 out of 15 in the fixture against Queens, and then they've missed a few now as well. Fitzpatrick Wilkinson. Colm Hogan assessing his options. He goes to the air. A simple one for Joe White, the ex-Cork con man, but he has made a complete hash of that one.
Yeah, and lucky for Joe White there. I thought that Colm Hogan maybe put too much on that kick. I always used to say, watching Colm Hogan over the years, never kick the ball back to that man because he'll punish you. But he fancied kicking it there. But look, again, not the worst outcome in the world for Garryowen. They're still very much in Old Belvedere territory. But if Old Belvedere can keep keeping them out, like they've only registered 3 points. They've had a lot of possession. They've had a lot of kind of dominance in terms of territory, but they only have 3 points. So this is really important for Old Belvedere to stay set in defence here.
Fitzgerald, Oliver, Langan, Donna Capern on the charge. Oliver, Brian Fitzgerald, Langan, Colm Quilligan. Still going. Beats the tackle of Joe White. Good hands from Geronimo. Ureta signs Pierna, but then it has gone forward. Paddy Darling, he was aware that time. Opportunity on the right. Absolutely brilliant from Wacko Keating. He's still going, Jack Keating. Old Belvedere space on the left. It's Fionn McWay on the charge. McWay into the 22. Fitzpatrick Wilkinson. And then the inside centre. And then someone is going to go to the bin here. It's McNulty, but that was some impressive play, Kieran, from Old Belvedere.
That was extremely positive. Probably the best play from Old Belvedere all game so far. Wacko Keating saw the space. He had a bit of room. He got his wheels moving. Fionn McWay did really well as well. Old Belvedere there's not a lot Garryowen could do. They probably had to take that risk. It was either go for the intercept and try it, or Belvedere were going to get in. So that was always going to be a risk. But Old Belvedere can go to the corner now. They're playing against 14 men. And like I said in the last play, if Old Belvedere could keep them out, that would really help their confidence grow. And now they're in a really good position in the field to kind of find a score and maybe put themselves into the lead if they find a try.
It's very promising from Old Belvedere. I mean, if that passage of play lasted a few more phases, we potentially would have seen one of the tries of the season in these conditions out here.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said earlier, that we might see a lot of up-the-jumper type rugby and keeping it in tight, but that was really exciting from Old Belvedere. Wacko Keating, if he gets a bit of room, he can really show what he can do. He's had problems with injuries in the past, but when he's on form, he's really on form.
Jack Keating, 5 tries this season in the AIL. So it's a perfect opportunity for Old Belvedere to strike and take the lead in this fixture. Callum Darling to deliver at line-out time.
He'll fancy a meat pie here, Callum Dowling. Just hit his dart.
Doyle, Thatcher, and that is a big let-off for Garryowen, and that's got to be disappointing for Old Belvedere's coach Ben Mannion. Kieran.
Yeah, they probably tried to catch Garryowen by surprise there a little bit, I think. Like, usually they'd go to Callum Dowling and just let him do the work, but they tried to mix it up, a little bit of a trick play, and it just didn't work out for them on that occasion.
So just to the left there, you see there is only 19 minutes on the clock. We've got 23 minutes on our clock here, so who knows what the time is, Kieran. So, scrum time, Garryowen on their 5. Oliver with the put in. It's another solid scrum from Garryowen. Oliver, and then crashing it up. There's Gordon Wood, and this time it's Seymour. Oliver. And that exit is managed well, but it's a quick take. Joe White setting off, tackled by Green and Wood as well, and Garryowen. That's really good play from them. They managed that exit so well and then put pressure on the quick throw.
Really good pressure at the ruck there. They were on it pretty fast. And look, I commended Old Belvedere a few minutes ago for being really well in defence, but Garryowen were excellent there too, and it's still 3-0. You know, the conditions have been difficult, but also the teams have had their opportunities as well. They just haven't taken them.
Langan has found decent distance on that clearance.
The home form definitely hasn't been there for Old Belvedere this season. That was there last season. I think I'm pretty sure they won every game last season in the league except for Banbridge. They drew, and then they lost to Highfield obviously in the semi-final. So it was brilliant. But this season it just hasn't really been there, and it's hard sometimes to mount a title charge if your home form isn't there for you.
Exactly, just 4 wins from the 8 games this season at home. Uncharacteristic, actually, if you look at previous years. So Fanning has it, peeking his eyes over the counter. Oliver, Wood, good carry by the 19-year-old. Oliver, Brian Fitzgerald, the skipper. Ariel Robles trying to get over that ball. Oliver trying to go for the kick pass. It was an unusual decision there, but they do still have the ball, Garryowen. But to your point, Kieran, very uncharacteristic, actually. Normally, Old Belvedere struggle away from home, and this season they've won 4 out of 8 away from home and 4 out of 8 at home.
I think maybe the coaches have worked so hard on that psychology away from home, and, you know, getting out that gate of Ollie Campbell Park and, you know, keeping their mentality and keeping concentrated, that maybe they've worked so hard in the away form that their home form has been lacking maybe that little bit.
And for Garryowen, they've won 6 out of the 8 home games, and they've won 3 away from home out of 8. So Garryowen have struggled away from home. So it just makes this contest even more fascinating when you also take into account that Old Belvedere last beat Garryowen in 2013. Oliver, there's big pressure on Garryowen. And the Old Belvedere faithful, they won't be happy with that decision.
They're very unlucky there. I thought the referee should have given the penalty there in favour of Old Belvedere, but yeah, Garryowen get away with one. But like you said, Justin, I think that's the thing with 1B that people who don't watch the league don't really understand. It's kind of an up and down league. You win 1 or you win 2 and you lose 1, and it's like a roller coaster. And commentating on this league and watching this league, you feel like you're on that roller coaster as such.
Absolutely, and just see how Old Wesley came out of nowhere. They struggled at the beginning of the season. Now they're sitting in second. They had 3 points deducted. But in some respect, they've been the second best team by a mile in this league.
For sure, yeah. I don't think, because you look at St Mary's and what they've done this season, they get a lot of the plaudits. So I think Old Wesley and their efforts kind of go under the radar a little bit.
Oliver, Langan, Colin Quilligan, Fitzgerald siding through. Brian Fitzgerald. Oliver wants it. Skip ball to Quilligan. It's looking ominous here for Old Belvedere. Jack Oliver. And it's all over the show. It's Seymour. Thatcher loses a scrum cap. He's going to have a decision whether to put that one back on. But what a turnover from Old Belvedere. And they've made about 20 meters as well. Yeoman work. Wilkinson. And that ball is straight to Langan. Goes for the torpedo. That's a great kick. The pressure on David Wilkinson. But he's been impressive, the number 10, Colvin Langan.
That was a bit of a nightmare for Wilco, to be fair. The kick wasn't good, and then he couldn't gather the ball when he was trying to get it back. So Garryowen again come up trumps in the right moments. They seem to be getting the rub of the green with most things at the moment, but they almost scored there. And if you're Old Belvedere, they didn't get the penalty at the scrum before, so they would have been rather annoyed if Garryowen had went in and scored there.
Garryowen, you also think if they run into the potential playoffs, if they do get there, they've got obviously now Old Belvedere, but then they've got Highfield at home. And then assuming that they do make playoffs, and they're going to have 2 hard games there as well. So it's already happening in 1B. And likewise for most teams, it's going to be like that. So what a league.
And it could be a Limerick derby at some point as well. Shannon look like they could be the team that will be involved in the playoffs from 1A. So you could see a Garryowen Shannon game later on in the season.
And also you throw in potentially Dublin University, although it does really look like they're going to go down. Anything can happen, but you might have City of Armagh. So it's all going to be really feisty.
Yeah, City of Armagh obviously were the team that got promoted last year. They won the league, and for them to kind of, if they survive without having to go through the playoffs, that's a huge achievement for Chris Parker and everyone at City of Armagh. They deserve massive credit for that, because sometimes that jump from 1B to 1A, if you're not used to it, if you've never been in that league like City of Armagh haven't, it's very difficult. So to be able to survive and stay in the league is brilliant.
So Garryowen, they'll be fairly happy with how this 30 minutes has gone, and they'll be even happier if they can get a try or some points here. And that scrum is a bit of a mess, but they've got the penalty, Garryowen. I'll let the scrum doctor, Kieran Noble, assess that one.
I'm only 5'4", so I don't think I would have made a good prop. But no, I'm actually a bit confused as to what way the scrums are going here. Like, sometimes I think it could be an Old Belvedere penalty and it's going the way of Garryowen. But anyway, they have another chance to go to the corner here.
Well, this is a big moment now for Garryowen. They've had 2 goes, 2 opportunities of potentially scoring a try, and 3 points up here. Another opportunity to make it a 2-score ball game. Fanning. Geronimo Ureta signs Pena. Donica Byrne. Fanning on the charge. Good carry by the hooker. Jack Oliver. Haddon, the loose head prop. Looking to put the hammer down here. Garryowen. Jack Oliver. Langan with the dummy kick. Needs to be careful. Barrett might have that ball. He doesn't. Oliver. Fanning with another carry. Thatcher with pressure. Oliver works the short side. Brian Fitzgerald. Colin Quilligan over in the corner for his 9th try in the season. And Garryowen get the first try of the day.
It was coming, to be fair to them. They were knocking on the door. They were looking for Old Belvedere to open it, and eventually they get the score they probably deserve.
And the Garryowen faithful will be delighted with the way this team has found form in the second half of the season. As mentioned, they struggled against Old Wesley, but barring that game, they've been very, very impressive. And then include that Munster Senior Cup win against Cork Con, who are 1A side, near the top of the table.
Garryowen's a special place. They're They're great rugby people, and for them, they would have been hurt last season when they got relegated. So now they're trying to get back there.
So Langan, 31 points in the season. 7 out of 9 last week. Calvin Langan. What a kick by the number 10. He's got the kicking radar on, and Garryowen are in the driving seat here at OCP after 30 or so minutes, Kieran.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what Garryowen would have wanted. If you had said to them a 10-0 lead at half time, they probably would have bit your hand off. So it's exactly what they wanted. Now it's the time for the old Belvedere leaders, the likes of Callum Dowling, the likes of David Wilkinson, to step up and kind of get their heads together and calm the ship.
Wilkinson. It's old Belvedere. Joe White for David Wilkinson, Ariel Robles. You can see how heavy it is underfoot. And look at the work from Gordon Wood, the inside centre. Fitzpatrick, Mulcair. Potentially 10 points is a lot more in these conditions, Kieran.
Yeah, for sure. Because you don't know how many opportunities you're going to get in this sort of weather. So Garryowen will be happy enough, and it doesn't really suit the likes of Ariel Robles, this kind of weather. Like I like to call him a dancer, but it's hard even for dancers to dance in the mud, so it could be a tough day.
It's a good carry from Cale Thatcher, the New Zealander, along with Jaden Beckett as well. They both went to Christ's College. And Jaden Beckett has that ball, and Old Belvedere do have the penalty for a high shot, and they need to find a spark, Kieran. There's still plenty of time, but you get the feeling going into the sheds, they need to find something.
Yeah, for sure. They need to get some points on the board just to have that little bit of confidence. Look, lads, we have something for the first half, because they haven't been all bad. I think they've struggled maybe in attack or in the key areas, but their defence has been quite good in spurts. They only conceded that try a couple of minutes ago, but they need something now before they head into half-time, like you said.
It has to start now with the skipper, Callum Darling. Gets the call as usual from Hugh Flood. Up goes Paddy Darling, and it's messy, but they still have it through Fionn McWay. Ariel Robles playing at first receiver that time. Fitzpatrick for Fionn McWay, a player who doesn't stop. Just so industrious. Fitzpatrick for Barrett. He's been playing for the Hunter Wildfires in Sydney for the last few seasons. Also played some rugby at Old Wesley. Thatcher, and then Kylie. And Beckett, out of all players, smashed in centre field. Old Belvedere have the penalty. Decision time, yeah. It's not a gimme, but 3 points on offer potentially.
You'd think it's up to David Wilkinson whether he fancies it or not. Whatever his range is like, but it looks like he's going for it, and that's the smart decision.
So David Wilkinson, a Congos player, went to school at Congos, along with another 6 of his teammates in the squad, of which 4 of them played together at senior cup level in the form of Callum Darling, Mulcair, and Hugh Hogan.
They were pretty unlucky that year as well. They qualified for the final and they were meant to play Newbridge, but because of COVID, the final never happened, which is tough on kids, at that age. They just want to get to a senior cup final and play it.
So David Wilkinson, 61 points from the season, including a try against Queens in round 8. 3 from 4 from the boot against Blackrock at Stradbrook last week. David Wilkinson to put 3 on the board and open the accounts. And he duly does that. That's an important kick for Old Belvedere. It's Old Belvedere 3, Garryowen 10. And that is half time as well. So Kieran, thoughts on that half?
Yeah, look, that's exactly what Old Belvedere needed, some points on the board, and you don't know how important that might prove to be later on in the second half. So look, it's 10-3. It's a low-scoring game. It's a tight game. A lot can still happen though in this second half. Like, if there's one thing I know about Ollie Campbell Park, it's unpredictable. Anything can happen. It's some second halves this season have really lit up, and there's been tries and tries. I don't think we're going to get that today, but we will get a few twists and turns along the way.
Well said, Kieran. Don't go anywhere. There's a big second 40 coming up very shortly. Garryowen in the driving seat at 10 points to 3 out here at Ollie Campbell Park. So we're back at OCP, Ollie Campbell Park, here in South Dublin. And currently it's Old Belvedere 3, Garryowen 10. And Kieran, in terms of the context of the season, Old Belvedere, although a loss here doesn't mean it's completely over, it might start slipping away if they don't start to find something very quickly.
I think they have to look at it like that, though. In the dressing room, they have to say, if we don't win here, it's gone. They have to kind of have that mentality that they have to win this. They can't look at it and go, oh, if we lose it, we still got an outside chance. They have to just say, we need to win here or else it's gone.
And Garryowen, well, they'll be relatively happy with how this game's gone. 7 points up. And it is Langan for Garryowen to get us underway at Ollie Campbell Park in the second half. And then David Wilkinson looks to relieve some pressure. And it's a decent kick by the number 10. Actually a really good kick up towards halfway.
Yeah, nice settler for them. Garryowen with the line out now. What can they do?
So George Haddon again, he's consulting with Vice Captain Kevin Seymour. And Dean Fanning. Not a bit messy from Garryowen in the first 40. Fitzgerald, that one's better. Oliver. Langan with the skip ball for Wood. And here's Quilligan off his line. Colm Hogan. Such a talented player, the 27-year-old. Here's Wood. And here's McNulty. Tells Jack Keating to sit down. The Connacht player. Byrne back on the inside to Byrne. It was actually Geronimo with that inside ball. Langan, Fitzgerald back on the inside to Seymour. Oliver, Langan just managing the game. And that is an exceptional kick. He knows exactly what he's doing, Kieran, Colvin Langan.
Yeah, Langan's probably winning the battle of the tens at the moment. He's controlling the game really well for Garryowen. He's navigating them around the park, and in these conditions, sometimes that's what you need. When I used to watch Ronan O'Gara as a kid, he was really good at that in the conditions, you know, going to the corners, managing the game. That was kind of his area of strength, and Garryowen are doing that really well here today.
So Old Belvedere under the pump. They need to manage this one well and get a good exit. Captain Callum Darling to throw. Up goes Doyle, and it's messy. It's a turnover. Oliver. And then it's been knocked on by Donica Byrne. Oisin Carney couldn't take it. But Oisin Carney, the tight head prop, and Oren McNulty, the left wing, both went to school in the UK for Millfield.
And an exit is probably the call for Old Belvedere here. They are missing that boot of Mick O'Kennedy, I feel like, when it comes to the exit. It's all kind of falling on David Wilkinson, that responsibility, which must be tough.
So Old Belvedere, scrum just outside the 22. They won't be able to put this one out on the full. And tricky considering the rain that we've had here at Ollie Campbell Park about 30 or 40 minutes ago. Heavy underfoot. Sol Fitzpatrick. Solid shove. Fitzpatrick. And then Kylie for Wilkinson. Joe White. They need to be careful, yeah, Old Belvedere. Not get isolated. Fitzpatrick for Mulcair. Decides to hang on to that ball. Nick Green making a nuisance of himself. Paddy Darling making some meters. Fionn McWay. This is good play from Old Belvedere. And Fitzpatrick is charged down. And Haddon, the loose head prop. Absolutely brilliant from George Haddon. Mulcair trying to get over that ball. Oliver, Seymour, Langan, Langan setting off. Beautiful ball to Wood. And showing his footwork. That's tremendous. From the inside centre. Old Belvedere have a lot of work here to do. Oliver, Donica Byrne, and O'Sheen Carney. Players on the right for Garryowen. Oliver, Langan, and McNulty. And old Belvedere, that's a much-needed penalty for holding on.
Yep. Garryowen were doing really well there in the backline play. I always find it fascinating when your dad is a forward and then one of your sons ends up being a back. And in the Woods case, I think Gordon's the centre, and I think his younger brother is involved with the Irish under-18s as well. I think maybe he's a number 10. And you saw his feet there, what he can do. But that's a nice relieving penalty for old Belvedere. They can get out of danger here and start to build their way into the Garryowen territory. But Conor O'Wendy coming in here today, like, I don't think you'll see anyone there as committed as him at the minute. Like, he's travelling from London like every week to play on a Saturday for old Belvedere, which is ridiculous. And it just shows how much he loves the club. Like, you know, people kind of heroise the junior B footballer who travels from, I don't know, Donegal to Wicklow to play, but he's like getting on a plane every week to come and play on a Saturday. Like, you know, it's a massive commitment from him, and he always puts in a shift.
Plenty of AIL caps as well for Conor Wendy, near on 120, and he's only 30 years of age, so he's still got half a career ahead of him if he wants to keep going. This old Belvedere, they need to find something. McWay, Fitzpatrick, Robles, Kylie, Wilkinson, Joe White. Well, it's actually Jaden Beckett. And this time, it's Keating. Jack Keating with the offload to Ariel Robles. Anything can happen here, and that's well done by Colin Quilligan. And Garryowen have the penalty, and it's just not going old Belvedere's way at the moment. What a breakout that was from Keating.
Yeah, it looked on there, and it was just a matter of where does that ball land. It could have very easily landed in the path of an old Belvedere player as well. But again, the rub of the green just seems to be going with Garryowen at the moment.
It's a decision. Fogarty just having a word. But Garryowen, they're taking their time here, Kieran. There's no need to rush for them. It'll be interesting to see if they do try chase a bonus point try. They've got to score 3 times, so that will more cement their position in that top 3 battle. Can you call it? Because Mary's a straight up.
I think in this case, though, both teams, they just want to win. They're not really thinking too far ahead in terms of the bonus point. The line-out has been kind of fascinating today. It's been a real battle, you know. Old Belvedere have got a couple of steals. Garryowen have got a couple of steals. They're really going for it in the air.
So scrum to old Belvedere. And they've struggled to fire a punch. Perhaps that last passage of play through that break from Jack Keating is the closest they've got. And a try here will change the feeling of this game. Fogarty, the referee, not happy with that one. So we will have a reset. Still 32 minutes to go at Ollie Campbell Park, so there's plenty of time, Kieran, for drama.
This scrum platforms inside opposition territory are really good to launch that key attack. I always watch Jaden Beckett and where he's standing in these sort of moments.
Fitzpatrick, Wilkinson, Beckett, Kylie, Robles playing at scrum off that time. Fitzpatrick, and then Flood. Tackled by Fitzgerald. Dominant tackle as well, and the pressure is on old Belvedere at that breakdown. Sol Fitzpatrick. Work for McNulty. That's a good kick, but it isn't out. And Joe White. Fitzpatrick. McWay. Fanning with an excellent tackle. Great technique. Flood. Fitzpatrick. Wilkinson. Kylie. And then Wilkinson to the air. Colin Hogan. Tackled by his former teammate Ariel Robles, and old Belvedere have the penalty. Mulcair with the work at the breakdown.
Really good penalty for old Belvedere. I think it was a really interesting kicking game going on in that last phase of play. I think Sol Fitzpatrick put in a kick, and then it was kicked back, and old Belvedere kind of came up the winners of that. And it's a 3 points now for David Wilkinson. It'll reduce the deficit to 4, and look, old Belvedere will be happy with that.
So Wilkinson was successful with his previous attempts on the half-time buzzer. And he has an important kick here to make it a 4-point ball game out here at Ollie Campbell Park. David Wilkinson, and that is a disappointing kick by his standards, and that's a big win for Garryowen.
They're the ones you really need to get. Frustrating for Wilkinson.
Mikey Veal also on the park now. You can just see the mud he's standing out. Like a sore thumb there. No mud on his jersey. Wilkinson, Tom Mulcair. Good footwork. The offload to Kylie. And Jaden Beckett for Cale Thatcher. Here we go. Veal trying to get the turnover. Wilkinson. Fionn McWay. Kylie. And then Flood. Mulcair. Slow ball for old Belvedere. David Wilkinson. And out it goes. Jack Keating.
There's a little bit more urgency in old Belvedere's play at the moment. They're trying to get some flow to it, and it seems to be working well at the moment.
Absolutely. Sol Fitzpatrick. Wilkinson. Callum Darling, good line. And good hit from Fanning. Crucial tackle. Wilkinson. Ariel Robles. With the fan, Robles. Beats out of the tackle of Brian Fitzgerald. Fitzpatrick. Wilkinson. Owende. Sol Fitzpatrick on the short side for Tom Mulcair. Looking for the 5-pointer here, old Belvedere. Cale Thatcher. Hit by Geronimo, the number 4. Wilkinson. And then Byrne, almost causing enough havoc for a turnover, but it is a scrum to old Belvedere. Plenty of possession for them here. They need to cash in.
That ruck speed was really good from old Belvedere in that phase of play. They looked a lot quicker. They looked a lot more direct. They looked like they wanted to play, and I think they need to do that a little bit more at times. They just need to chase the game. They can't wait for it to come to them. They have to go after it. Sometimes I think that's been the problem this season for old Belvedere. They've almost sat and waited and let teams come at them, whereas sometimes they have to grab the game by the horns and just go for it and trust their play and put the ball through the hands. And it's getting to the squeaky bum time in the season and in this game, so it's now or never really for them. They just have to go for it.
And also the next game for Old Belvedere is also not an easy one against Naas. You'd maybe think that with the position where they are on the table, but Old Belvedere haven't won in 4 noughts since 2018. So it just shows you that even if they get a victory here, it's not set in stone that they will make it.
And it also depends what happens in the Naas Queens game. Naas could be under a little bit of relegation pressure for that 9th place spot as well, so they might have everything to play for next week as well.
Fitzpatrick. Old Belvedere looking for an opening. Fitzpatrick, Jaden Beckett. Representing Christ College to the fullest. Look at him go. The leg drive is insane. But it's been ripped away from Colm Hogan. Out of all players, his ex-teammates. And that is a fabulous kick from Colm Hogan. And Old Belvedere are pinned right back into their own half.
Belvedere would prefer to have Colm Hogan wearing one of their jerseys today, I think. He's a fantastic player, Colm Hogan. He was involved in the squad that played the Crusaders for Munster, obviously, as well. Like he's probably, I wouldn't say underrated because everyone knows how good he is within the AIL, but he's an excellent guy and he's a smart guy as well.
Qualified lawyer as well. So Fanning feeds to Geronimo Oreta Sainz Pena. He's been good at line-out time, despite the few disruptions. Fanning, Oliver, Wood. He's had a good shift the inside centre. Oliver, Donica Byrne. It's actually Oreta Sainz Pena, I beg your pardon. Oliver, Veal. Jack Oliver. Langan, space on the right for Quilligan. And that's uncharacteristic. It's gone back, but you've got to be careful of this player. But he's spotted early. Fitzgerald gains a few meters. Veal on the inside. And then Oliver, a little dink over the top, and Joe White is well positioned, but we will come back for the penalty decision time here for Garryowen. The way Calvin Langan is kicking at the moment, you'll say, go for goal, son.
Yeah, also it pushes that game out a little bit, you know, it makes it a 10-point game. And, you know, Jack Oliver was happy enough to kick that. He knew he had the advantage, and Garryowen would be happy enough just to get a kick, and that kind of cancels out Old Belvedere's score then.
And also in these conditions, a 10-point ball game feels a little bit more with the amount of mud on this park.
That's been the difference, though. Garryowen's game management in the key areas has kind of kept them controlled in the game, and they haven't rushed things. Old Belvedere, I know I said a couple of minutes ago they need to chase the game, but also Garryowen have never panicked in this game, I feel. They've always known where they want to go and what they want to get, whereas Old Belvedere just have been lacking a little bit in the key moments.
So, Calvin Langan, 2 out of 2 today from the tee. Looking to make it a 3 out of 3, and more importantly, looking to put Garryowen 10 points in front at Ollie Campbell Park. Calvin Langan. It's another beautiful kick by Calvin Langan. Old Belvedere 3, Garryowen 13. And Old Belvedere are chasing the game now with about 20 minutes to go, Kieran.
It's a bit of a 6-point swing as well. Wilkinson missed his opportunity and Langan takes his. So Garryowen are in a very good spot here at the minute. They're firmly in the driving seat. And now it's We need a bit of Ollie Campbell Park magic, I think, for Old Belvedere if they're going to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Well said. Wilkinson, Seymour, no pressure on the number 5 whatsoever. Oliver Alangan. And here goes Joe White. That's wasn't the greatest connection, but it's kind of worked out. But at the same time, Garryowen won't mind that.
And they'll slow things right down now. You'd suspect they'll be happy enough just to saunter to the line out, not rush things. Still about 20 minutes to go here.
And he's also been impressive as well, Dean Fanning. His tackles that he's been putting in, some crucial hits. Great technique as well.
It's been an attritional battle here today. Rugby for the purists maybe in some ways.
Opportunity, Callum Darling. Old Belvedere looking for the try. Tom Mulcair, Owende, Connor Owende. Sol Fitzpatrick, it's a loose ball and there's trouble here now. Coming to the rescue is Doyle, and he does a brilliant job. But it's another opportunity Connor begging for Old Belvedere. Ball is on Old Belvedere's side. Kylie. That's a good tackle by Costello. Sol Fitzpatrick, Mulcair, he's been everywhere. You Flood. Takes contact, tackled by Veal. Wilkinson. And Old Belvedere going backwards here at the moment. They're about 60 meters out. Wilkinson. Keating. And JJ O'Neill. He's made a bit of an impact since coming off the bench in the number 20 jumper.
And again, Old Belvedere do so well. Callum Dowling on the overthrow he's aware, he's active, he nearly gets there, but maybe Saul just didn't look up, didn't see where the numbers were. Then they lose probably about 40 meters. Like it's just frustrating from an Old Belvedere point of view. They get themselves in the key areas, but they just can't take those opportunities. And Highfield lead Blackrock at the moment, 17-7. So that would pretty much put Blackrock out of the playoff race. And potentially not the worst result in the world for Old Belvedere as well. If Blackrock are out of the equation, that should mean that Old Belvedere stay in 5th. And Queens are 33... full time in the Queens game, 33-31. It was an early kickoff there, so a massive win for Queens. And it means as well that Nace could potentially finish in 9th place.
Also St. Mary's and Old Wesley. Old Wesley put some sort of a comeback on at Templeville Road. It's currently 27-26 in favour of the hosts, St. Mary's. So all happening at the moment.
Old Wesley probably have the best front row, one of the best front rows in the AIL. Harry Noonan, ex-Irish under-20. Cronin Gleeson was in Irish clubs. He's played pro rugby as well. Then you've got somebody, Stephen Smith, was involved in the Irish under-20s this year. So they have a really good front row. They have a really good pack as well. So they've really went under the radar this season. I think when they got their points deduction, everyone was like, Wesley are gone. But look, they've just done their business and they're in 2nd place.
They've been ruthless. Oliver with the put in. And on the charge is Wood. Oliver, Donna Capern. Always a handful. Support from Ureta Sainz Perna. Oliver, Veal juggles and then he gathers. And obstruction. Old Belvedere, they've got about 15 minutes And they need 2 scores with the way the results are going at the moment.
I've mentioned this before, but when I've done commentary myself, I've always wondered who are the leaders in this old Belvedere team, who steps up in those moments to say, lads, we can do this. It just takes that little bit of experience. Does it come from Conor O'Wendy? Does he say, lads, just calm the ship? Like, somebody like him coming onto the pitch can have a massive impact. So now, this is probably the biggest moment of their season so far, I'd say.
Cian Cunningham is on the park.
When Callum Dowling was injured for a couple of games mid-season, Cian Cunningham came in and he did a really good job. Scored a couple of tries as well.
A 28-year-old ex-Sea Point player, Cian Cunningham. It's a great scrum from Old Belvedere. They've got a much-needed penalty as well, but they need to make this count.
It's interesting. I mentioned Ronan Fox earlier on. I saw him outside there. I wonder, he got so many penalties for Old Belvedere like that last season. I wonder how he's feeling now. A Garryowen player, but an ex-Old Belvedere man.
So will there be a twist in the tail? It would be something special if Old Belvedere did go on to win this game, considering that they've lost the last 6 in the AIL against Garryowen all the way back. Their last victory in December 2013. They've got 15 minutes to turn this ship around. And it's not going to work like that when the Argentine Geronimo Ureta Sainz Piana steals that ball. And big pressure here. Jack Keating. And a penalty to Garryowen. That could be the moment. Still a long time to go, but that could be a crucial moment right there with the penalty.
And Garryowen might decide to nudge this one into the corner and go for the killer blow.
So Colvin Langan. And he's potentially been one of the players of the match. Colvin Langan, as we see the support here at Ollie Campbell Park. Fanning just eking out the clock as much as possible. Fanning. And it's a turnover. Cunningham. So it's not over yet. An opportunity missed by Garryowen to put the icing on the cake here at Ollie Campbell Park. And Wilkinson, well, there's nothing much more he can do. And Garryowen again have another opportunity. And it sounds a bit strange saying this, but if this result remains this way, it's only 4 wins out of 9 at Ollie Campbell Park this season, Kieran.
Yeah, it really is a strange one. And when you say it like that, you know, how can you mount a title charge when your home form hasn't been there?
Although sometimes in 1B, a 50% record might be enough in some seasons to get you into the playoffs.
A 52% record maybe, or 53 can get you there, yeah.
Ureta Sainz Piana, he's been industrious, he's been imperious in the line-out, the Argentine. And Garryowen has the penalty. Jack Oliver taps and goes, but Fogarty says, no, come back. Just on Geronimo Ureta Sainz Piana. Played for the Pampas 15, Newman and the Jaguares 15 in Argentina, the 27-year-old. He's been really good this season, scoring 4 tries as well. Has the ability to play across the back row and at lock.
Simple for Garryowen, take their time here. Nudge it back into the corner. Set the line out. But they're going for the post.
It's not a bad decision at all, Kieran, considering if this one goes over in the form that Colvin Langan is at the moment, Old Belvedere will have to score 2 converted tries to win this game. Smart decision.
they get this, Belvedere's backs will be up against the wall. And they'll have to go for broke.
Langan for his 40th point of the season, and he converts with certainty. That's Old Belvedere 3, Garryowen 13, after about 70 minutes at Ollie Campbell Park.
That's a huge score. It's only 3 points, but it just pushes that game out that little bit more. Old Belvedere need 2 tries now, you'd think.
Retta signs Piana. Jack Oliver has also managed the game well, the 20-year-old. Joe White. Old Belvedere, they have not scored a single try in this game. They've only got 3 points to show for their efforts. You've got to commend the Garryowen defence.
It's very reminiscent of the old Wesley game towards the start of January. I think Old Belvedere only got 3 points that day as well.
It's on you, Colin Hogan. It's got JJ O'Neill on his outside. O'Neill, that's brilliant footwork. Jack Oliver. And Old Belvedere under pressure, and someone's going to the bin as well. It's Hugh Flood. He's trying to march away before receiving that card. Or has the referee changed his mind?
He was thinking if he ran away fast enough, the referee might not see him.
No, sticks to his decision. And things are falling apart here at Ollie Campbell Park. And there's an opportunity here now for Garryowen to put this game to bed at Ollie Campbell Park. In these conditions, it's been a really good performance.
The wheels are falling off a little bit for Old Belvedere now.
Fanning. Ureta signs Piana, and that's gone skew. So that's probably the one area of this game, Kieran, where they have struggled, and assuming that Garryowen do go on to the playoffs, they have to fix their lineup, because you can't be going into a game with 70, 75%. You need to get over 80% on your own ball.
The set piece is so key to any rugby team, really. No matter if it's AIL, no matter if it's in the professional ranks, if you can't get that right, it's very hard to build. If they had got those, I think it's 3 or 4 times now, lineouts in key areas haven't gone the way of Garryowen, and if they had got those lineouts, the game would probably be out of question by now.
So there you can see on the clock, 8 minutes to go. We've seen over the years that Old Belvedere have been in similar situations where they have managed to come back from this deficit in these final minutes. But in these conditions, with the downpour that we had about 2 hours ago, it's just made it that much more difficult.
And their confidence doesn't really seem to be there today. Sometimes you can tell when they've got that in them. And it could be the commentator's curse now, but I just feel like...
Jack Oliver scores. And that's the icing on the cake here at Ollie Campbell Park. You can see how much it means to the number 9, Jack Oliver.
He was really aware there. That's a perfect lesson for all young number 9s. Always keep an eye on where the ball is in the scrum. Always watch the other 9. Always be aware. Always be looking to snipe if it gets on your side. And a great opportunistic score from Jack Oliver there.
And how good has this halfback combination been for Garryowen? Jack Oliver, the try scorer, and Colvin Langan, he's been flawless around the park. And both, well, Jack Oliver's 20 and Colvin Langan is 21. That's incredible.
They're real generals around the park. They're kind of just controlling the game. They're steering their team in the direction they want to go. And they've been excellent today, the both of them.
Colvin Langan, 4 out of 4 from the tee, 100% today. And that's saying something in these conditions. Colvin Langan with his toughest kick of the afternoon. And he is unsuccessful. So it is Old Belvedere 3, Garryowen 21. And Garryowen are keeping destiny in their own hands here, going into the final round of the regular season in the AIL.
It's been a real underwhelming performance, I think, for Old Belvedere. They would have had high hopes going into this one of getting a big result and keeping control, like you said, of their own destiny and getting into that top 4.
Fitzpatrick, Mulcair, Wilkinson. Good answer from Beckett, Cale Thatcher. And he makes an uncharacteristic error. Yes, Seymour. Yes, Fitzgerald. Oren McNulty. You'll be brought back.
I think you really wanted that one, Justin, for the highlight reel.
Absolutely.
The under-20 system here in Old Belvedere is still doing really well. They've still got some really good guys there, so there's still guys to come through and get involved. Callum Downing's little brother, who I think has played 1 game this season, or 2 games for the seniors. While Callum was injured, he was on the bench. So, there is good players still to come through. Nicky Moulders played a couple of games for them at the start of the year for the seniors. He'll come in now to the senior team next year, I suspect. They've still got a lot of young lads to come through, and maybe we're still in the early stages of this group, and they're growing, and they're still learning on the job. Like I said earlier, they still need to learn in those key moments how to control the game maybe a little bit better. Maybe their decisions need to be a bit better. So there's lots of positives for Old Belvedere, and they've got a lot to build for the future.
Also to add to your point there, James Doyle, Johnny Kylie, Jack Dunn and Hugh Redden are all involved today in this 23. We're part of that Belvedere under-20 side that won the Premier League 1 3 weeks ago. So a lot of promise coming through the ranks, and also with their average age only just being 24 across the squad today. So still a lot of hope. So Jack Oliver, they're looking for try number 3 here, Garryowen. Oliver, Langan, skip ball to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald with a great carry. Had Delaney on his outside, or his inside. Seymour. Langan, and now Haddon and McNulty. Support from Ben O'Sullivan in that number 16 jersey. And a hit on Costello. And then Langan for Delaney. Fitzgerald to his brother Des Fitzgerald. And into touch he goes.
Garryowen just aren't taking their foot off the gas here, really. They're looking to punish Old Belvedere. St. Mary's 34-29 up against Old Wesley.
That's a big result for Garryowen, actually.
And it's full time in that one, so St. Mary's, they might have had the league sewn up a couple of games ago, but they're still going. They're looking for a strong finish. I often wonder, with St. Mary's going back up to 1A, will it tempt Johnny out? Will it tempt him out of retirement just for a couple of games?
So deep inside there, 22, Keane Cunningham to throw. And taken by Mac Way. And there's a penalty for Old Belvedere. Will they tap and go? Or will they look to find a touch and have a crack again?
the atmosphere hasn't been as lively here today as it has been in other games of the season. It's been a hard one for the crowd to get really involved in.
Beckett takes contact. And then Mulcair. Might not be over for the season though, despite this result. But they might have to get a 5-pointer against Nace. And then potentially rely on points difference, which hasn't been bad. Beckett always seems to draw in 2 or 3 defenders. Now Keane Cunningham, Fitzpatrick, Wilkinson, Connor Owende. Penalty. It's old Belvedere. It's the tap and go. Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick once more for Wilkinson. Robles with the skip ball to Joe White. Owende. Wilkinson. And then Oren McNulty almost got that ball. And Garryowen, Jack Oliver showing his kicking prowess. And Wilkinson, well, what can old Belvedere do here? Nugent with the dummy at Thatcher on his outside. And then Fionn McWay has to present that ball back. Jacob Barrett. Wilkinson, little dink over the top for Robles. And here is Ureta Saints Piana. The Argentine needs support. Oliver Langan. Oh, that's a beautiful kick pass for McNulty. That was unlucky.
Just didn't sit up for him there in the end.
That would have been beautiful to watch, Kieran.
What do old Belvedere do here? Do they just want to get into the sheds and have a point, or they go for a score?
Coast to coast, Kieran. Run the length of Ollie Campbell Park. That's what it's about. Cunningham, McWay. Wilkinson, Thatcher. He's under pressure, but he's done reasonably well. But he needs to be careful with the choke tackle. He's gone to ground. That's a good play. Garryowen trying to get the poach. And Beckett just trying to get his team out of much trouble. Seymour, over the top it goes for Geronimo Ureta Saints Piana. And the Argentine gets his 5th try of the season, and he's absolutely delighted.
You said go coast to coast, and I suppose they had to, but that was always running the risk of another hurtful punch. And Garryowen have just been excellent throughout this game. I think they've managed it really well. They've been the better team by far. They've played some really good rugby. The scrum half and the out half have been excellent. And look, they'll be delighted with this result. And they can head back to Limerick with their supporters and have a few cans in the bus and enjoy this one. And they'll go again next week.
So they're looking to make it 28 points to 3. Colvin Langan, another star player. Well, it really doesn't matter if this goes over. But the number 10 will want it to go over. And look at that. Beautiful from Colvin Langan. Old Belvedere 3. Garryowen 28. Garryowen have kept destiny in their own hands as they look to cement a position in the 1A promotion playoffs in 2 weeks' time. They've got Highfield next week, and Garryowen have now beaten Old Belvedere in the last 7 occasions in the AIL, and they've also got their 10th win of the season. And Kieran, thoughts on this game for you?
Yeah, as I said a couple of minutes ago, it was an underwhelming performance for Old Belvedere. Not the way they'd want to finish their home season. They've still got one more game to play. They could still technically make it into the top 4, but it's a tough one for them. The home form just hasn't been there this season. For Garryowen, it's a great win on the road. Probably one of their best of the season, I'd say. And, for them, they just do next job next week, and it looks like they'll be in the playoffs, so that they have a little bit more rugby to play.
And Kieran, we haven't discussed this, but I'm going to put you right on the spot here. Who was your player of the match?
I think it was probably the out half Langan. He was excellent. I just think sometimes you need your 10 when the conditions are tough, just to manage the game, just to go to the corners and just play the kicking game, play the territory. And I think he was excellent when they needed him to be today.
Well said, Kieran. That's all from us today at Ollie Campbell Park. The final scoreline here is Old Belvedere 3, Garryowen 28.